Welcome to this video where we learn how we can push the committed files to the remote repository that we have created. So if you have not seen the previous videos, I've shared a link here so you can go and check it out where we have understood how to set up the working directory using git init, and it will set up the tracking and adding files to the staging area using the git add, and also committing the files that are there in the staging area. So we had explored these aspects. Another thing that we need to look at is before we push the files to the remote repository, you also need to understand the concept of branches. So we have not created any branches. If you have followed the previous videos as well, we have not manually gone and created any branches. So as you can see, there's this log command that I've run, which basically shows all the commits that I have. So there's only a single commit. So now the repository is pointing to what we refer to as the master here. So we did not create anything called master, right? So that's the default branch. So if you want to know how many branches are there in your current Git repository, you can just type in git branch. That's all you need to do. There you go. So it'll always show the asterisk against the branch which is currently active. So you can actually switch branch or create branches as well. That's also something that you can do. So we'll see that aspect a little later as to how you can create new branches and switch between branches as well. But for this particular video, we'll focus on how we can push to the remote repository. So at this point in time, there's absolutely no relationship with the local repository and the remote repository that we have created, right? So we have not built any association with both of these at this point in time. So that's what we will do right now. So the first thing that we need to do is set it up. That means set up the association, set up the remote repository, right? So you can see that the command is git remote add, and then you give a label. So by default, it's origin. You can name it what you want. It doesn't matter, but just that whatever name you give here, you will have to reuse it when you use the git push command. So I'll just copy this code here, and I'll come back to my Visual Studio Code. I'll just paste it in. Okay, so it's basically git remote add origin and the name of or the URL of your remote git repository. Okay, so we go in and provide that and press enter. Okay, so now the remote repo has been added. So if you want to see what your remote repo is, if you want, you can just run it once again. You can just say git remote and it will show the label here. Okay, so it's already set up. Perfect. So now we have to push the files that we have committed into the remote repository. So we just have to say git push. You can use this option called F, that is the first time that you're pushing it, right? And then you can provide origin and the name of the branch. So in this case, the name of the branch is master. So we just type in master. Okay, so depending on what branch you are in, it will automatically take it, but it's always best to go and specify it. So that is a best practice. So we'll just go and execute this and let's see what happens. Okay, so that was quick, right? So it only few files that we had. So it says that everything's done. It's moved to this particular branch. So we have a master branch locally and it's moved to the master branch on the remote repository. So let's go in and see whether this has worked or not. So I'll just refresh the remote repository here. Yes. Okay. So I can see that the two files have now got added into the remote repository. Okay. So in this series of videos, if you have followed the previous videos as well, you would have seen we have started with initializing the working directory, moving to the staging area, and then pushing it to the remote repository. So we'll be covering more aspects like branches as well in the next video. So I hope to see you then.